zweite Turm zusammen. Der zweite,
scene here is just one right out of one of the movies you would see in Hollywood. People walking around with cell phones in tears, holding their heads, looking up at what's left of the World Trade Center and just shaking their heads in disbelief.
A situation that started bad just gets worse and worse and worse. The World Trade Center, South Tower, which was hit by a plane and wrecked by an explosion approximately an hour ago, has totally collapsed.
What happened?
Really simple. Let's understand this, okay? 9/11 was an inside job. It was a self-inflicted Operation Northwoods. Google it. And in there, the U.S. government, an element of it, said we want to hijack jets by remote control, crash them, and blame it on the Soviet Union and Cuba. Now, terror attacks in 1953 to blame it on Mohammad Mossadegh in Iran as a pretext to overthrow Iran. A White House memo just came out where Bush was talking about staging the shoot-down of American planes to blame it on Saddam. That's public. That's admitted. This is why we believe this. It's really simple. Let's understand this, okay? 9/11 was an inside job. Check out the facts. Go look at the evidence. Don't believe the attack dogs. Please, go investigate it, ladies and gentlemen. You will discover the truth. Look at America. It's turning into a police state. Well, let's putting cameras in school.
Where should we start? The Gulf of Tonkin incident? Now, that took us into war in Vietnam. They've now admitted it was a lie. So 58,000 of my generation were killed based upon a lie. But that doesn't count, does it?
What does that have to do with 9/11?
That shows that we will lie to go to war. We've been doing it for years. We will continue to do it.
I think it's an overreaction, but also you're making some very serious allegations against the U.S. government, saying that they stage attacks, they allow them to occur in the United States against U.S. citizens.
Let's declassify.
What? No, what evidence do you have to support any of that?
Well, Gulf of Tonkin is very, very well documented, but...
I mean, what are you talking about? Hold on. It's in Army field manuals to stage false flag attacks, declassified 2004.
One thing, you don't think the CIA has our best interest in mind. You don't think our intelligence branch...
I never said any of that. I certainly question, and yet I'm attacked when I question. You notice how if you bring up 9/11 and they have any questions about it, immediately everyone attacks you over it, tells you you're crazy, calls you Rosie O'Donnell.
Now also how much the Bush administration ignored the intelligence. It was almost like they ignored it because they wanted it to happen.
Oh, come off it, Jesse.
No, not false flag operation.
You can't, in all seriousness, sit there.
Talk about your BBC. I have a tape of a BBC reporter broadcasting directly back to England talking about a third building has collapsed, World Trade Center Building 7. Talks for 7 minutes. All the while she's talking, World Trade Center Building 7 is still standing right behind her. It didn't fall for another half hour. Yet they were doing a pre-broadcast back to England that, yes, it's true,
you need to
that
take
this
a break
building
here.
Fell and it had...
You need to take a break here. You need to take a break here.
You might have heard a few moments ago was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing. And indeed it has.
As you can see behind me, the Trade Center appears to be still burning. We see these huge clouds of smoke and ash. And
then as soon as there was some confusion, it was obvious that it hadn't fallen, the satellite magically cut out and they lost their connection.
Very, very traumatized people. That has hit them very, very hard.
Jane, I think many of us, when we heard the news, perhaps on the radio earlier today, were completely flabbergasted by it and just couldn't comprehend it. I mean, it almost sounded too far-fetched. I was wondering what it's felt like for you being in Manhattan. Well, unfortunately, I think we've lost the line with Jane Stanley in Manhattan. Perhaps we...
Yeah, I would have done a legitimate investigation to find out what exactly happened on 9/11. How did they know who did this so quickly?
There's a second plane just crashed into the World Trade Center. I think we have a terrorist attack of proportions that we cannot begin to imagine.
Oh, wow. We just saw, oh my goodness, you another live picture right now. Oh my goodness. A lot of uncertainty right now. You hate to say the words, but what comes to mind right now, terrorist attack. Terrorist attack.
How did they know who did this so quickly like they did Lee Harvey Oswald. How quick they knew Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy.
Because the people who did it were identified and we knew who they were.
Well, then why couldn't we have...
Terrorist attack.
You'll see the mainstream news articles in the newscast where they said not one, but 2 magical passports, undamaged. These passports were made of the same stuff as Thor's hammer.
You have 2 110-story office buildings. You don't find a desk. You don't find a chair. You don't find a telephone, a computer. The biggest piece of a telephone I found was half of the keypad, and it was about this big. The building collapsed to dust.
These passports are so magical and so wonderful that, like Gollum's ring, they call to you. They call to who they want to find them, but not any normal mortal. No. The ring calls out only to FBI agents. So the magical Thor's hammer material passports go out of the building, down to the ground, and then once they're on the ground in feet of dust and millions of papers everywhere, the FBI that day finds not 1 but 2. It's all real. Bill Clinton didn't have sex with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. What type of sickos? I mean, I'm reading all these reasonable articles. They're suddenly all over the news about the dangers of conspiracy theorists, how they're destroying America, and I agree. The fact that some people in this country, and they admit it's a growing minority, soon to be a majority, very scary, question government and corporations and media. Government and corporations have never lied to us once. They're as pure and strong as those magic passports.
You know what it's like to go up to this and go out every day and go past the peer pressure and come out day one and say 9/11 was an inside job and lose most of the radio stations I was on? You know what it's like to go to sleep every night knowing you work for a bunch of psychotic killers and you bastards are probably going to end up killing me one day? You know what it's like knowing you've ruined my life? You know what it's like, you sons of bitches? And in the end, you are going to be brought to justice. God is going to deal with you. And you are cursed to hell. I'm done. I got to get out of here. I'm pissed off now. Robert Wannick, you can make some closing comments. I'll give you the last 2 minutes.
Go look at the evidence. Don't believe the attack dogs. Please, go investigate it, ladies and gentlemen. You will discover the truth. Look at America. It's turning